Thank you very much, Michael, distinguished guests, dear friends. I'm also delighted to welcome you to the 10th anniversary of Vienna Migration Conference. For Michael, it's the 10th conference. For me, it's actually the first one that I'm managing, so it's a special day for me as well. But before I take the floor to walk you through the program, I would like to introduce keynote video messages from distinguished speakers from the European Commission who unfortunately couldn't join us today. First, we will hear from Magnus Brunner, Commissioner for Internal Affairs and Migration, followed by Dubravka Šuica, Commissioner for the Mediterranean. You will soon see the videos on the screen.
Good morning from Brussels to Vienna. And let me start by congratulating you, lieber Michael Spindelegger, for leading this organization so successfully. And thank you for our excellent cooperation and your friendship also. And liebe Susi Raab, let me at the same time wish you all the best for a successful start to your mandate. I'm sorry that I had to send a video message. The plenary in Strasbourg is keeping me busy. The Vienna Migration Conference marks its 10th anniversary today, and just like EU migration policy, it is at a turning point. Irregular arrivals into the Schengen area are in steady decline, down 18% this year, following a 37% drop last year. The same is true for asylum applications, down 22% in the first 9 months of 2025, while the number of effective returns has increased by 9%. This is more than just a bump in the numbers. It is the result of good cooperation between the European Union immigration forces as well as our efforts with third countries to tackle irregular migration using a whole-of-route approach. For the Pact on Migration and Asylum, we are nearing the finish line on what has been a marathon of negotiations, compromises, and also hard work by our technical teams. There is still work to do, but at this stage, I can say I'm confident that we will deliver in time for June 2026. Its success depends on us all. Together with our proposals on returns, safe third countries and safe countries of origin, we are talking about an entirely new EU migration architecture, one that is more European, more fair, and also more firm. Let me also stress that fixing our asylum and return systems and curbing irregular migration are only one side of the migration policy debate. Europe needs skilled migrants. We need their energy and their talents in order to stay open and stay competitive also. This turning point is also about devoting more energy to promoting legal pathways and encouraging global talent to choose Europe. The point is that we, and not smugglers, will decide who enters, who lives, and who works in the European Union. So thank you very much, all the best, and enjoy the conference.
Dear Director General Spindelegger, dear ministers, dear experts, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind invitation to address you today. First of all, let me congratulate on the 10th anniversary of your migration conference. It is a big achievement. The conference has been an important implementation partner of the European Union's agreements on migration management globally and in particular in the Mediterranean. And the numerous participations today speak volumes about the commitment to partnership and dialogue on migration management. This year's conference is very timely as I presented the Pact for the Mediterranean last week. We are putting forward a new approach. We want to create a common Mediterranean space. We are coming together with our southern neighbors in a partnership of equals. And it is based on mutual trust, on common ownership, and joint responsibility for concrete actions. The pact is pragmatic and there is a strong call for tangible benefits for our citizens and our economies. The pact's architecture is flexible and open to new actions. It rests on three pillars that are strongly intertwined, and one of these pillars is about security, preparedness, and migration management. There can be no true prosperity without stability and security. Migration management, as well as mobility, talent, and skills, are central to the pact. A comprehensive, whole route approach to migration management is one of its priorities, and it is in line with the ongoing work on the external dimension of the Pact on Migration and Asylum and with fundamental rights. Let me give you a brief snapshot of what we intend to do in the framework of the Pact. We want to continue preventing illegal migration and migrant smuggling. Through sharing of good practices of border management as well as projects implementing the Global Alliance to counter migrant smuggling, we will boost the disruption of smuggling networks. We want to strengthen capacity on migration management along migratory routes. Here, ICMPD has played an important role with European Union support in providing capacity on migration governance to partner countries, and in particular in North Africa. We are also going to reinforce cooperation on returns and readmission of persons with no right to stay within the European Union. At this moment, the European Union return rate is at 20%. There is a need to improve this percentage. This is why in March the Commission proposed a new return regulation to equip the European Union with the best tools for effective returns. And when it comes to Mediterranean partners, we will step up voluntary return of migrants to their countries of origin and reintegration. Reducing illegal migration should pave the way for more legal pathways. This is why we will scale up talent partnerships for labor mobility and skills promotion. This will help match European Union employers with skilled job seekers in partner countries. On this, ICMPD has plenty of experience in running programs that bring opportunities for mobility. And lastly, we will strengthen protection for vulnerable migrants, asylum seekers, and refugees in the southern Mediterranean in cooperation with the UNHCR. We will also support member state efforts in resettlement and humanitarian admissions of people in need of international protection. Let me take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all our partners in the southern neighborhood. Your experience in hosting migrants and refugees, in managing the delicate balance of being at the same time countries of origin, transit, and destination is truly unique, and you are acting as bridges between the continents. Our joint efforts produce great examples of our partnerships in practice, from initiatives that strengthen migration governance and skills development to voluntary return and reintegration programs. We can only manage migration together with our partners, and it is our joint responsibility. This is the spirit of the Pact for the Mediterranean. Dear colleagues, dear ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude on a personal note and express my gratitude to you, Michael, for 10 years at the helm of the International Center for Migration Policy Development. On behalf of the European Commission, thank you so much for your work in promoting an effective and humane migration policy. You and your team bring together all relevant stakeholders to exchange and promote the spirit of cooperation on migration management. The European Commission is looking forward to continuing the fruitful cooperation with your center, and I wish you a constructive and inspiring Vienna Migration Conference. Thank you so much.
We are very grateful for the Commissioner's insights and perspectives. I'm sure they give us great context and actually set the stage for the conversations ahead. But let's move to the program, and as you can see in the agenda, I was supposed to do it jointly with my colleague Malin Frankenhäuser, Director of PRS, who unfortunately cannot join us today. So I will do my best now. We feel like we say it every year during the opening, but what a year it has been, this 2025. So much has happened, and as you all know, not only in the area of migration, but actually across all topics in global politics. President Trump is back in the office, Russian aggression against Ukraine continues, and evolving developments in the Middle East remain uncertain, often leaving actors on the world stage scrambling to keep up or even react. We are also seeing traditional geopolitical alliances in the flux, with new ones actually taking shape. But at the same time, defense, security priorities constantly top the agenda. Trade, inflation, but also perspectives for growth remain the topics of much conversation. And within this constantly changing context, one question keeps coming up to all of us. What role should migration policy play in all of this? And we will have plenty of time to discuss these issues during our conference. And as we do every year, I will now run you through the program. You will see many similar topics as in previous conferences, but we will of course be injecting new elements to keep our conversations timely. But first, though, we would like to take the temperature of the audience, and we will have two short polls with you and with our online audience. Let's wait a second. Yes. So the first question is as follows. As we open the 10th Vienna Migration Conference, how would you describe the current moment for migration cooperation? Would you characterize it as polarized, pressured, adjusting, resilient, or evolving? So please use the QR code for those following us online. You can see the window next to the live stream. I will give you a moment to respond. Thank you. I think it's safe to say that polarized, it's still changing. Let's close the poll. So polarized and pressured has received the most responses. But what I think is that all these words actually capture parts of the story of migration. Migration cooperation today is certainly polarized in case of many debates, but it's also pressured by complex global challenges and adjusting as countries and institutions find new ways to respond. And at the same time, it is also resilient with partnerships and frameworks that endure, and evolving as we see innovation and new approaches emerging. So rather than choosing one word, it might be fair to say that migration cooperation today reflects all of these realities at once. But on the topic of polarized debates, as we know, some people advocate for no immigration, others for no borders. And in fact, as Director General mentioned, and as some of you have seen, there is an activist program happening in Vienna these days with no borders demonstration planned around our building. As ICMPD, we certainly respect the right for peaceful protest, critical debate, and our focus during these 2 days and always is constructive dialogue, grounded in facts, respect, and solution. But now we would like to hear from you again. So let's move to the second poll. Please use the code. And the question is as follows. Which of the following issues to be discussed at the VMC 2025 do you find most relevant for current migration debates? The intersection of migration and security, the future of international protection, new models of migration partnerships and cooperation, adaptive and forward-looking migration management, data, research and forecasting, return and reintegration in diverse contexts, the economics of migration, and global talent mobility. Let's wait for a second. And I will tell you about all these themes and sessions in just a minute. Interesting to see that the models of migration partnerships, but also economics of migration received the most votes, followed by the future of international protections. These three themes will feature prominently in the sessions I will be highlighting in a moment. So let's close the poll. Thank you very much. We will kick off with two opening panels, which I'm confident will set the scene beautifully. First, our ministerial panel will explore what's driving diplomacy, security, and domestic politics today, and how governments are recalibrating in response to new realities. The armchair conversation on what the current state of the world means for Europe will follow. Tomorrow we will continue this conversation with a session focused on multilateralism under pressure, looking ahead to what the international system might look like going forward. At the same time, no conference this year is complete without taking a deep dive into the recent EU reforms related to the pact. As we know, implementation is underway, the deadline is getting closer, and as Commissioner Brunner mentioned, EU member states are nearing the finish line of this long marathon. And throughout these 2 days, we will take stock of implementation on the ground, what's next for the EU migration agenda, and whether EU is actually putting in place a truly common migration system. And of course, discussions on EU reform will inevitably bring us to one of the most debated topics, namely return policy. Today we will have a panel discussion dedicated to returns, and tomorrow a session on reintegration, where we will look at how return and reintegration can be made fair and sustainable without undermining human dignity or international law. And indeed, the conference will also take a step back and look at the international protection regime more broadly. Still today, we will also zoom in on the specific context of Ukraine and Ukrainians who have been under temporary protection over the past years. And with so many countries facing large number of displaced people, a session later during the break will explore tools that can help forecast migration flows and support preparedness in policy making. But we will also tackle another pressing dilemma, not only for Europe, but actually for the whole world, namely labor shortages and skill needs. And with the focus on international cooperation, we will discuss how both mobility but also partnerships can be structured to match demand, protect workers, but also ensure fairness across origin and destination. So we will hear from different perspectives, including from Philippines, on how labor migration can be an engine of development. And our conversations on Western Balkans will bring regional lens to these challenges. So we will highlight how origin, transit, and destination all come together in one geography. And finally, as Commissioner Šuica stressed, we need to work together in partnerships, and the VMC will explore different ways to cooperate in that matter. Migration partnerships are a theme throughout our whole conference. It's a part of ICMPD DNA, but we will also have one dedicated session tomorrow looking at common priorities. But without further ado, let's get started. Thank you.